to another episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat. I'm Karen Scott Green.
And I'm Kat Hardrick.
And we are here today with Leonard Dungee. He is the CEO of Hope Hustlers. Hi, Leonard.
Hello.
Good afternoon, ladies. How are you?
We are well. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well.
Okay. So we met you at Black Push, their gun violence symposium. And we were motivated by your story. And we were like, we both at the same time said, we have to have him on.
Exactly.
We have to have him on. So tell us about what your story about Hope Hustlers and your why.
And the story starts actually back in 1990. I'm from Virginia.
What part of Virginia?
I was former athlete. Yeah.
What part of
did all the right things on the surface, but I also had I guess a dual lifestyle. It was the 80s and 90s, and we just took advantage of an open market, for lack of a better term. And so, but I really didn't. The way it unfolded was I called my mother in 1990 on Mother's Day because I had been caught with a very, very large amount of cocaine. And I was a stockbroker at the time, wife, 3 kids. And that's when she actually started working with what we call at-risk youth, because she was like, this kid I done sent to Hampton to play football and learn how to sell cocaine. That's what he did. So it all culminated in 1990.
Let's back up a little bit. Where are you from?
Okay. I'm from Richmond, Virginia.
You're from Richmond. Okay. All right. And so you went there to Hampton. What year did you graduate from Hampton?
I didn't graduate.
She sent you to school.
I graduated from the School of Hard Knocks in 1986.
Okay. All right. So were you caught up in the crack epidemic?
Yes. I mean, I was there before the crack epidemic. I was there when people couldn't afford cocaine.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So
you were selling
I graduated high school in 83, so that's like early 80s, and crack wasn't around then, but cocaine was just starting to take it off. We didn't know why it was so cheap in the hood back then, but I was a stockbroker, and it all kind of started because it was only doctors and lawyers and stockbrokers could afford cocaine.
Yeah, right. So you were selling cocaine or crack? Does it make a difference?
Well, cocaine. I supplied when the crack era hit. I was more of a supplier / but I was really like the middleman. I wasn't really into it full time. I helped a lot of the funny thing about it is really one of the reasons too is when in 1986 in the stock market, that was before Black Monday and all that. And so after Black Monday, I lost a lot of clients, and the only people that would work with me were athletes and dope boys, and I helped them manage their money. And so that's kind of where it started. And then just over time, it just grew. The market grew. For some reason, cocaine was cheaper in the hood and weed was cheaper in the suburbs. So I took cocaine to the suburbs and brought weed to the city. And so, like I said, I was more of a middleman. It wasn't until later on, like 99, 2000, I was going through a divorce, and I really started getting into the trafficking scene full time. And then I was locked up 3 years later.
Okay. So, and did you do federal time or state time?
Both.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I did both. And actually that's, I look at the story, we talk about the story, that's when God sat me down, and that's where I kind of found my purpose. My mother had already started a nonprofit, but it really didn't start taking off until then. And then when I was in prison, I did 5 years in Arizona and Oklahoma, back and forth. And then when I got back to Georgia, they wanted their time separately, Cobb County.
Oh, wow.
So I did another 2 years when I got back. But while I was there, I actually helped over 400 inmates get their GED. I handled gang disputes on the yard. I kept getting moved around a lot because I had too much, what they call too much influence on the yard.
Really? They didn't like that?
So, yeah, they just, they don't like, for instance, they would give me my own classroom. I had 20, 30 convicts, murderers, whoever in that classroom. I didn't need a CO. It was never about that. And because I'm from Virginia, we didn't have gangs. We didn't say we didn't have gangs, but we didn't have, what we know now as Bloods and Crips. And not in Virginia anyway. So
early 80s, that was still a West Coast thing.
Right. And so, but what that is, I do have family from LA. And so I do have, family members that are, Crips, and one of my best friends is Paru. So, but I was always neutral. I work with everybody. It didn't matter the color of your rag, didn't matter, what your affiliation was, because
that money was green.
Right, money is green. So that's the flag I wrote. And so, but while I was in prison, my mom, actually, the nonprofit accelerated. So when I got out, I hit the ground running. And we started following the ceasefire cure violence model back in 2005, I think. And I think I got out in 2007. And so I've been doing it ever since. I didn't realize that's what I was doing or what God was preparing me for while I was in prison until I got out. And so.
How old were you when all of this was taking place?
Well, the first time I got locked up, when my mother and family realized that, I was kind of in the game, I was 27, 28. Okay. But when I actually did time, I was 37.
Okay. You said 37?
So 37, yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I didn't actually go to prison until later on. I like I said, I lived a dual lifestyle. If you didn't know,
you were in the game for a minute.
Right. I've been in the game for a minute. Right. So actually flew under the radar for a long time.
Wow.
So, I think what happened when I was going through the divorce, I just didn't care anymore. You know what I mean? I was like, right.
Your depressed, anxiety, and all that stuff dealing with your marriage.
Right. I got a whole whole family, got a whole house style and lifestyle I got to support and support myself. Right. And corporate America wasn't doing it. So
Hope Hustlers was born when?
Actually, Hope Hustlers was born in post-pandemic. My mother's nonprofit is Visions Unlimited, and I guess about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, she retired, and so this is her nonprofit 2.0. I'm the CEO, and she's on the board, and so it's still the same. It's still the same concept, the same program. It's just I'm in charge now. So.
And what does
and so it's been inception since 2020.
Okay.
I'm sorry?
What does the acronym Hope Hustlers stand for?
Healthy outreach and positive empowerment. We hustle that.
Okay. And say it one more time.
Healthy outreach, positive empowerment.
Hustlers. That's nice, isn't it? I didn't even know that was an acronym. I was just
hustle that. That's what we hustle.
I figured hope, like you were saying, you were giving hope to those who were coming out the system. Yeah, I didn't realize that was an acronym. Okay. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's really and we don't just do reentry. We do it's violence prevention.
Okay.
That's just part of it. Reentry is part of it, but really we're part of a human justice network where human rights plus human development equals human justice. And so really what we're doing is going back into the community, period. So I don't care if you're just getting out of prison or you're on the block or you're causing trouble in school. I need to talk to you, and I want to meet your family. And so help me help you, because even if I have a mentee and he's with me 3-4 hours a day, he still has to go back into his environment for the other 18, 20 hours out of the day.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why the family, supporting the family is just as important as supporting him.
So how do people get connected to you so they can plug into your program and receive some of those benefits? Because like you said, you have to have the family buy-in. So even though you are able to communicate with that young person, when they go back to their environment, they're in the midst of it and they have all of that pressure on them. And so what do we do to help with that whole process?
Well, there's first of all, let me say this. As far as the violence prevention side of it, we concentrate on the highest risk individuals. I mean, these are the risks who are, the people, not just boys and kids, but whoever is at the highest risk for committing violence, having violence committed against them. And so it's the relationships that my team and myself have in the community. When I got out, we were in Bowen Homes, Bankhead, all of the AHA properties.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You see what I mean? And so our name has carried on. We really, with the courts, the school system, the hospital, our referrals come from all over. But in general, we want the highest risk. We concentrate on the highest risk individual and then wrap around them.
Okay. So what counties are you in?
I'm sorry?
What counties are you in?
Right now, Fulton and DeKalb. But because our program stretches from Paulding to Conyers, from Gwinnett to Henry County.
That's
so we, and we're familiar with the court systems in all those counties. But most directly voting on DeKalb right now have officially signed on.
Okay. All right. So does the course, like the DA, do they reach out to you when they have citizens that they want to partner with? I know that we had someone else on our program, and they said they work directly with the DA's office. So do you have that type of relationship with DeKalb and so forth?
Yeah, I have the relationship with the DA's office, but our main contacts would be with the public defender's office and the Department of Social Health. So, the social workers in the courthouse and the defense. Now, the prosecutors know who I are, but they're trying to lock everybody up. So they're not coming to me first unless there's like a situation where there's absolutely mitigating circumstances when he was just there and had no clue where he was. And, so we come in and kind of do, information check and, get a true background on this person and, the situation. So.
But it seems like you would be in a partnership with all areas, from prosecuting side to the other side. So then that way, prevention to me should be at every step. If that's the goal.
If that's the goal, I mean, we really our thing is we work with the community first. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's great. The partnerships that we have are all great. Don't get it wrong, but I care about, little Rodney. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't, we're a public health. So we take a public health approach to violence and community outreach. So they're public safety, just like the police. A lot of people think, well, because a lot of people, majority of the people on my staff have a past, may not necessarily, be felons, but they have history. Okay. And so, a lot of times, law enforcement can't see past that. And so, not that we don't work with them, but their job is to respond to violence. Our job is to stop it from happening.
Stop it from happening.
So we have to document that when we work with these families and these individuals. Yeah, we have to document it, because if you don't document it, it didn't happen.
You have different motives.
But they don't put that on the news. They don't say, hey, Dungee and his team stopped Lil Craig from shooting up the Quick Trip. They don't put that on there.
But they don't put that on there.
If he did it, then of course it's all over the news.
But it's also the same way that when the NAACP and other programs have done gun buyback programs, and communities have done gun buyback programs, that doesn't get media attention. And so when someone says, why is it that so-and-so is always showing up when a shooting happens? Why don't they talk about this? And I'll be quick to point out, that person does talk about gun violence, buying back guns. Did you go to their program when they had the gun buyback program? Did you go to their Stop the Violence? Trying to right. And so that's not sexy. That doesn't doesn't get media attention. It's just like when we met you with Black Push, and Sean said he invited several elected officials from all over. Area. But you saw who actually were in the room, and even if you yourself can't make it, send a representative.
Right.
We don't partner together, and that's why we're doing this podcast, because we want to elevate what Hope Hustlers is doing, so that we can save our young people and save whomever we can. Like you said, it's a public health issue.
Right. One of the things we're doing is because a lot of people are into violence prevention. It's a big buzzword now because there's money available for it. Nobody gave a shit about it 2 years ago. Pardon my French.
No, you're good.
Nobody cared. It's not that it's also an election year, so there are agendas. We've got, a lot of things going on. My thing is that right. And so, actually we're on a symposium on October 24th and at Ebenezer Baptist Church, where we're introducing a peace plan. I think the issue is people don't know. Everybody wants to help, and there's a role for everyone. What we like when we talk to pastors, Pastor, I understand that you want to go into the community, and I understand that you do want to help and save the community, but the people that you need to address first are not going to listen to you, and they're just not. And so what you need to do, that's that highest risk individual. And it's okay. That's what I'm for. Let me bring them to church. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
If you have some, a youth that's, in the neighborhood around the church or whatnot, and you want to reach out to him, let me reach out to him, because I did 7 years in prison and did a whole lot of damage to this community.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Now I'm fixing it and making it, making it a better place. So he's going to listen to me, and again, he might not want to go to church. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not his time yet. But it's not just for church. It goes for everyone who has nonprofits and are doing great work. Mental health counselors. Let me bring them to you, because just to tell a young man that, on the corner, he may even be making a couple of dollars, oh, you need to go get some mental health, he's going to be a Dungee, you got me.
Right.
But
we know the rest
if
of
I
that
present it like you just need to talk to my people, right. But I approach it different. Hey, man, come talk to my people, man. You got some stuff going on. It's about the delivery, and he's going to accept that from me. So allow us to be in the street to bring them to you.
Yeah, you have to meet them where they're at and speak a language that speaks to them. That's right. So how many people do you employ, Mr. Dungee?
Right now we have I guess technically 10 on staff, and tens and tens of volunteers.
Wow.
Almost, 100 volunteers or more.
How can people donate and volunteer?
Go to our website. There's a donation link on the website, and we accept all donations, all love.
Say your website.
HopeHustlersATL.org.
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 And they can also go there if they want to sign up to volunteer?
Yes. Yep. All the time. You can become an honorary Hope Hustler.
What are you looking for in volunteers?
People to bring their real selves, or their true selves, because what we found is that when we get a new participant, we do an individual success plan.
Okay.
And in that individual success plan, they're going to tell me exactly what they want to be, what they want to do in life. And it's my job to help navigate them down that path. And so if I find someone that says, oh, I want to go into art, well, hey, I've got a whole list of artists, that we have vetted and we worked through, and we know that they're going to treat you just like we treat you. And, at that point, it's just matching them up. So we need mentors. We need people for these young men and women to follow, to give them direction.
Okay.
And that's, so when you sign up, bring your expertise. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be, anything. It could be whatever it is. And that's the only way we can go back and save our community, is to give them the proper mentoring, that gives them hope, gives them an opportunity.
They need to see the vision that they want to become. And if we surround them around that village of people who they want to be an attorney, here we have an attorney. If they want to be a community organizer or police officer or judge or whatever, that's perfect. That's exactly what they need. They need to see the examples that they want to be and have people pour into them. So what are some other programs that you offer with Hope Hustle?
Well, everything from GED and life skills, anger management. I do a financial literacy class. We do me and because I flip houses, to help sustain the nonprofit. But I have a partner, Felicia Porter Realty, who does. We do home ownership programs. We help people buy homes who never thought that they could ever purchase their own home. And through our partners, there are all kinds of services. We have fellowship programs, motherhood programs. Just there's a wide array, and it's on the website, and that's why we're always looking for more volunteers, because again, I don't never tell a young a participant that they can't be a lawyer. I'm going to lay down what they got to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so you can do it. It's just going to be a rough road, but hey, that doesn't mean you can't do it. So,
and now with the cost of education, I'd be telling people, I'm also telling young people, if you want to be a welder or a plumber, those are good jobs, very well paying jobs, and you can get there without all of the student loan debt, as someone who has a lot of student loan debt. So I typically tell people, young people, in addition to, I typically say, look for companies that will finance your college degree.
Right.
And then they have, maybe 50-50 401ks and retirement. So every dollar you put on the table, they match it. So something like that as well. Yeah. Because a lot of kids don't know that companies will pay for your education. Yeah. You just need to do that as well. So, but I love what you're doing, Mr. Leonard. Absolutely.
Thank you, ladies.
So you just came from a convention. What was that all about?
Yeah, it was the Human Justice March in New York. We marched from the Barclays Center to Manhattan. I spoke at City Hall on the City Hall steps. Then we marched to Queensbridge housing project. 14-mile march, but it was for human justice.
Okay.
And what it is there are lots of companies like lots of organizations like Hope Hustlers across the world. And what we're doing is we're uniting under one umbrella. We've been working in silos, but it's very important that in order to get this national, global message across, we got to move. We're stronger together.
That's right. That's right.
And so we went to support our brothers in New York. They're coming down to support. They come down to support whatever we do. And it's just it's a beautiful thing. It's really beautiful to be appreciated, for what you do, and not just here at home, but they recognize you nationally, and we recognized by the CDC and other organizations like that. It's just honoring. I'm honored and humble.
Absolutely, you're doing.
Nobody gave a shit 2 years ago.
That's right. Well, let me ask you this, because I know that you do work in we're working with reentry programs. Can you tell us a little bit about the work or a lot about the work that Hope Hustlers is doing for when convicted felons are coming out of prison?
Right. Well, of course, obviously, I know what they're having to go through from experience. And so we just have to support them and wrap around them the same way we would anyone else, because everyone's needs are different. And it doesn't matter if you're coming out of prison, 5 different, felons may have 5 different family issues, 5 different dynamics, so we really cater our program depending on the participant and who we're working with. It doesn't, everybody doesn't, and
it's
so what we want to do is keep you from going back, first of all. It's not cookie cutter. It's really, right, tailored to the individual.
Okay. So so is what Hope Hustlers is doing is that you're connecting people to services that are needed for when they're coming out for reentry programs?
Resources.
Okay.
Right, resources. I'm really on, because I was a financial whiz kid, I guess. My main thing for our community is financial literacy. And so you just mentioned earlier, I flip houses, I am a contractor. And so, we have to get back to the days. We don't have vocational programming in schools anymore. There's no auto shop, like talking about it. There's no wood shop. There's no home ec. My grandmother was a home ec teacher for years and years. And so, even my coach in high school made us take home ec. And I used to be like, Coach, why we got to do this? He said, okay, Mr. Athlete, Mr. Former professional athlete, what you going to do when you have to maintain a diet and you don't have nobody there to cook and clean for you, and your mama ain't there, and you got to be in practice at 6 a.m. You need some home economics, sir. And I said, well, since you put it that way, let me go.
Right.
And so, but the program, we also, do like I said, my construction business, I help them become welders or electrician. And don't just become an electrician and work for somebody. Get your own truck. Start your own business.
There you go.
Because before they got rid of those programs and wanted everybody to go to college, that's who built our community.
Yes, right. Yes, right. Absolutely. The pathway to power is owning your own. You need your own access to money, and that financial literacy is so important because poverty, in my opinion, is a component that leads to crime. Most people
totally leads to crime.
Will do that. So that's good that you're empowering them with education and doing it. My background is finance, so I definitely understand it. Right. And too many times we spend money on the wrong things when we we broke. My dad used to say they got a beat up car, some nice rims, and pulled in front of a Matchbox house. You had your priorities messed up. You know what I'm saying? So it's important because when it's nothing like being able to look at your bank account and have money in there and not have to say, I'm a hustle in the streets so I could take care of my family, whatever that might be, selling drugs, your body, or whatever the case may be. So I'm glad that that's a very important component empowering someone to be in charge of their own finances,
because we're not taught how to own our own businesses. We're not taught how to create jobs. We're not taught that. I went to law school, and we were never taught how to run a law practice.
Right.
The whole goal was to come out and go work for someone.
Be on the rat race.
Yeah.
That's right. It's taught for you to work for somebody else.
Exactly.
Not to empower you. In my house, when my kids were little, we used to play a game similar to Monopoly. So I ain't gonna say too much because I still got a patent on it, But and it would teach them the life of a dollar.
Mm-hmm.
So they got a paycheck. They can work whatever job they wanted, drive whatever car they wanted, and then they had bills. And then at the end of the month, my son was like, "This isn't fun. I don't have no money."
That's life.
And that's what I said. I said, "Welcome to the real world."
Welcome to the real world, exactly.
Right. So, so how long is your program when a person comes into Hope Hustlers? Is it a set time, or is it just a duration?
No, they become Hope Hustlers for life. We don't ever, as they, even we've been in it for 15 years now, and we still have people that call us all the time from our, and the idea is once they come through the program, now it's your turn to give back.
That's right.
I love that.
None of this works without those 5 basic needs being met.
And what are those 5 basic?
5 basic needs: food, clothing, water, clothing, shelter, and sleep.
There you go.
People don't have those 5 basic needs. They're going to do whatever it takes to get those 5 basic needs.
Yes.
So without that, it's no sense in, we can't even talk financial literacy or behavioral health or mental health until they got food and water in the house. You need to have the shelter so you can have somewhere to sleep.
If they have a house, that's right.
Yeah, exactly. Because
if they have a house, right.
I can't be concerned if I don't have a roof over my head. I'm not really concerned about too much else other than like where I'm going to lay my head tonight.
And that's why we have to put back empathy, because sometimes you shouldn't have to be homeless to have empathy for someone who is experiencing, being unsheltered. Mm. You shouldn't have to have a child that may be experiencing a lot of peer pressure to be in gang violence or whatever the case may be, for you to have empathy with this, maybe a family going through a divorce. Like that really has a huge impact. So we need to help educate folks on being more empathetic so we can all do our part in this village that Hope Hustlers has created, we're creating, and other organizations doing the same thing.
If people got outside of their bubbles, their own world, just step outside your own world and get involved in just one organization that's doing something.
Volunteer.
But I'm just, in order for people to have empathy, you have to get outside of your bubble, get outside of your comfort zone, and go help in some organization. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
No.
So there's organizations like Hope Hustlers that are already doing the work. Get involved. And when you see these organizations, that's where the empathy comes in.
That's what I said my whole campaign. You don't have to reinvent. What did you just say, Dr. Dungee? Look, it's 100 of y'all out here. You in New York. It's a ton of you guys out here doing the same thing. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Plug in.
Plug in.
Right. We're not asking you to come in the hood with us. We're not, but we throw an event, we need people at the tables and, you know what I mean, doing different, handing out, whatever.
Yeah.
But, because the thing about us that sets us apart is we're able to go places where the police and other people can't go, simply, period.
Okay.
That sets us apart,
And when you go to those places.
So it's very important that we have a complete buy-in.
Yes. Yeah.
And when you go to those places, people are willing to talk to you. You respect people when you meet them where they are. And a lot of times people, pull your pants up, or you need to do so and so. I don't know. And that's the thing. Will you? How will you feel if a stranger walked up to you and said, "Girl, take that necklace off"?
Yeah. We have to be very cognizant of the message that we're sending when we try to correct, particularly like when we try to correct young people.
Right.
They're still human beings.
Absolutely.
They still deserve to be respected.
So, Mr. Dungee, what is your vision? What's your long-term vision for Hope Hustlers? What are you doing? What do you want to do in the future that you're not doing now?
Ooh, girl, she asked some good questions, don't she, Doctor? Woo!
She be on point. But she never stops. She got a full clip. Okay. Yeah, just to spread, we're looking at moving into other jurisdictions outside of Metro Atlanta.
Okay.
We have been asked to come help implement sites in other, whether it be a Hope Hustler site or not, just to be able to come in and provide the professional development and technical assistance. And so, the key to this work is you have to have the right people who have the right relationships in those communities. That's why a lot of nonprofits just think they can come do this with some social workers and some people who have been to college and got this and that. It doesn't work. It just won't work because they don't have the proper relationships in the community. When people hear about Hope Hustlers or Dungee or Chi or Dip, one of my team going out, they already know who we are. They may have never met us before, but like I said, we've been around. Visions Unlimited has been around since Bowen Homes and Bankhead and Hollywood and Herndon. And so those kids have kids now.
Wow.
So when they hear our name, they just know who we are. And it's like, man, and they know we're not coming to lock them up. We're not coming to judge you. You may get checked, you may get G-checked, but it's okay. It's out of love. It's not because I'm trying to judge you. I'm just saying, hey, bro, you ain't got to pull your pants up, but I'm just going to let you know you can run into some problems if you don't.
Right.
So
you got to make that message relatable. I can't just run up to you and tell you, pull your pants up. Well, why?
What authority?
Look, that part. That part.
Yeah.
Right.
That part. Well,
it's real simple things that we teach them too. Just like normally when you're standing on the block and the police roll up, the first thing you see a youngster do is, here come the police.
Yeah.
Bruh, just look at them. If you're not doing anything wrong, just look at them. Your first reaction is, oh, hit him. But if you do that, then they're gonna say, okay, what's wrong with him?
They're gonna start messing with you.
She really drunk. It's just a little innuendos and things like that we kind of got them with, because no one's ever taught them soft skills.
Yeah.
But we also need to have that community relationship with our law enforcement. I don't care what nobody, like my cousin husband I'm from Detroit and they're police officers, and all of this, they're married and all this stuff. We know police officers, but because they're in our family, we have more of a relationship, and you see with their partners and all that stuff. But we need to have more of a relationship instead of, because if you knew who the officer was, maybe you wouldn't be like, oh Lord, and how it's treated nationally.
Right. Yeah. That's been a major issue. A lot of people think that in our work, because a lot of us have history and whatnot, that we're anti-police, and that's furthest from the truth. I mean, I was at high school, and two of my best friends to this day are retired brass back in Virginia. So the problem is we don't have the culturally competent police. For instance, you can't bring someone who has never been in a Black community, where he may be Black, but you can't bring him to a Black community because he doesn't understand what those people go through on a daily basis. People just think,
Wait.
Just don't get it.
You gotta take that real slow, because I love how you said, even if they Black. So go ahead, say that one more time for our viewers.
Right. I mean, it doesn't matter the color of the individual or the police officer. I mean, because you may have some white cops that grew up in a situation, as long as they're culturally competent. I look at it in my situation. I've had situations where I've stopped. I remember one time, I ain't gonna name the park. We were having an event at a park, and there were two gangs. I saw them. I already knew who they were. One was coming from the other side. We already knew with some rumblings. One came from the other side of the park, and they met in the middle. And I was in the middle, and we ended up having a prayer vigil right smack dab in the middle of the park, and everybody cleared. But when the police got there, all they saw was my tattoos and thought that I was one of the perps.
Wow.
Didn't bother to ask anybody. I sat in the park until 8, 9 o'clock. I said, you need to call your supervisor, sir. I just started a major gang fight in your hood.
I know that's right.
So now I need to speak to your supervisor.
That's right.
And that's what we run into all the time. They're not culturally competent. I've had police officers, when I told them what I do, give me my business card back.
Oh.
These are Black officers, not white officers. These are Black officers.
Let me tell you something.
Smack dab in Atlanta. So
I grew up.
That's the problem.
I grew up in Hollywood, Florida, which is South Florida, right between Miami and Fort Lauderdale. And I didn't live in the city, but we lived in the unincorporated area, and our guys that lived in my neighborhood knew not to go into the city of Hollywood, you know, like riding their bicycles or whatever, because the police would stop them, would mess with them. And it would be the Black cops who would be the most aggressive with them. I mean, it was.
It's like they have a point to prove. I don't know what it is. It's like they got a point to prove. I don't know, you know, because generally they're probably they're probably kids that were bullied in school. And so now that they're police officers, this is their opportunity to get back. You know, I grew up in the suburbs, but my dad lived in you know, downtown Richmond. So when I was, you know, my mom moved us way out the hood. I played football. She wanted us to, you know, I was graduated in '83 with 6 Black people in my graduating class of 300. Wow. So, but, you know, at the same time, I guess I was accepted because of the, you know, the football, but I just remember even the police back then, they were from the communities that they served. So, you know, like my friends that went on to be police officers and head of homicide and all that, they policed the areas that they were from. So when, like, after we graduated from high school, they went on to be the police, and I was driving down the street, you know, they would pull me over just to make fun and whatnot, but I knew them. It was all we was there, you know what I mean? And then after work, we would go get a beer and hang out just like we used to in high school. So I think we've gotten away from that. I think that the problem with the police right now is that they become too military minded, and it's just, let's lock everybody up, and you know, it's not, you know, we're blood brothers in blue and all that, and I get it. And like I said, I want to clear this up too. Hope Hustlers and any Cure Violence site across the country has no problem with the police. They are public safety. We are public health. We're trying to actually help them. Because if we stop somebody from shooting, that's another call you ain't got to show up to, bro. Right. But the difference is you can only respond to shootings. You see what I mean? Yeah. And so that's where we don't interfere with their investigation. We don't even come in till after till the tape goes down. You would never even see us when we do a shooting response. It's, you know, we might do we might canvass a neighborhood or whatnot, but it's more about reaching out to the people in that community. Because people don't realize, it doesn't matter if you live in Buckhead or Bankhead. If you hear gunshots at night, that's traumatizing.
That's traumatizing.
It is trauma.
It is. Right.
It is a form of trauma. It is. That's what we want to deal with, the public health side of it.
And historically, Black folks, the Black community has been very conservative. Not conservative in the political aspect, but conservative in family values and respect for law enforcement. Like, just historically, we have been, and some of that could have been fear too, but Black people want police in our communities. We just don't want them kicking our ass.
And kicking in our doors and just really just disrespectful. I mean, they don't even, you know, the thing about it is you don't even have respect for the citizens of this jurisdiction or wherever. You just don't, you know, you talk to him crazy. And, you know, I asked the guy, can we park over there? He rolled his eyes, like, figure it out. I'm like, okay, bro, that's why you're on traffic duty right now.
So I have, I know we all have stories we can tell about interactions with police officers. I have just 2 right fast. When I was running for office in the city in which I ran, one of the police officers told me he wouldn't live in the city in which he worked. So it's okay to receive my tax dollars to pay your salary, but this isn't the community in which you would raise your own children. So that's 1. And then 2, I went to a park and I happened to have a sticker on my car, and I was parked in the spot. You can't park there. You need a sticker. I didn't even respond. I just got out of my car and I kept going. You don't have a sticker. You know, I don't have a handicap decal. It's on my license plate. You go look. I'm still not talking now. I'm still quiet. I'm still getting out my car. I'm still doing what I'm doing. And he just fussing at me. Then he finally marches around and look at my plate. And now he wants to talk nice to me. Child, if you don't get away from me.
Right. We've got to change. There's got to be a better way of vetting our police officers. I think a lot of the problem is that the police, for whatever reason, have a chip on their shoulder, and there's no reason. Everybody's not a perp. Everybody's not, you know, against you. They think we want to defund the police. I don't want to defund the police. They need to be a little refunded, but I mean, not defunded, because, I just look at how many assault weapons can you buy for a police force and how many bulletproof vests. I mean, I look at one bulletproof vest, that's an outreach worker for me.
Right. I get that. I get that.
That's a violence interrupter I could hire.
It's not that we don't want police to be on the street. We just want the police department to have the proper tools and resources that they need to effectively deal with calls, particularly like dealing with mental health. And when something is not a violent situation, so that it doesn't get escalated to someone's being injured or losing their life. So if that means more money for training, more money for mental health, people to be embedded and work and be enmeshed with the police so that they can answer those calls with them, that's what a lot of this push has been since like 2018, 2019.
And just for me, a reallocation, because every budget, police is the highest, receives the majority of the budget. So obviously you have enough money. Unfortunately, the officers may not be getting paid enough, but there's a huge budget there for you to reallocate and make sure. And if you have an office that has repeat offenders that's violating human rights of all of us citizens, then that office itself needs to have accountability. They all need accountability. But if you have something that is on the alert red flag all the time, that's a huge problem. And that needs to be addressed. And none of us should be deemed a bad person when we say, shine a light on that, reallocate those dollars. Because we know when you talk money, people will listen. Because we've been screaming for our lives for centuries, and that hasn't gotten anyone's attention. But now that we say defund, which really means let's reallocate, let's get some accountability, now there's something wrong. But we've always been begging for respect in our own communities.
I just want to say, I hope that we get to a day when Hope Hustlers is out of business. So that means that you won't have to do any crime prevention work. You won't have to do any
stopping the game from fighting.
I hope you get to a day where that part of your mission has been complete.
That's right.
And that you've done all the work that you can do, because all of that is no longer an issue.
Amen.
And then you shift your mission to something else. I hope my blessing to you is that Hope Hustlers is successful in their mission, that you no longer have to do that work.
Amen to that.
Well, thank you. It's amazing that and also it baffles me how we have a program in Cure Violence. We follow the Cure Violence model, which has been scientifically proven that it works. Everywhere we go, we have data that says we reduce violence, but yet we try to do it other ways still.
Wow. So you've mentioned the Cure Violence model. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, Cure Violence model takes a public health approach to violence. We treat it like a pandemic, or like an epidemic. We have to interrupt the transmission. We do that by reaching out to the highest risk individuals. The second thing, and we just went through this with COVID, the second thing you do in a pandemic is you prevent the spread. And you do that by, once you reach out to those highest risk individuals, meet their human rights, make sure those 5 basic needs are met for them and their family. And then the third thing in any pandemic is that we change group and social norms. And so that's just the same way we do, we deal with a disease, we deal with violence. And it works because once we change those group and social norms, it's okay not to have to go, and rob somebody tonight. It's okay because now your 5 basic needs are met. We have you on a path for success, and all you got to do is just keep humping. And so that's how it works. And so we'll go into a neighborhood, or we'll go into a situation and reach out to the highest risk individuals. We go to the school. I want the bottom 10%, Miss Attendance Lady. I want to know who is not coming to school. When they come to school, who's fighting. I need the worst kids in the school, because the other 90% follow them.
Right. Oh, wow.
And we treat it like a pandemic. And so that's Cure Violence model. Is recognized by the White House. Is recognized by the CDC.
And it's not being used?
It is. It's just there are other entities that are fighting for the same money, I guess. And now, though, you can't politicize what we do, and you can't, it's a public health issue. It's not a political issue. It's not a public safety issue. And so what happens is, we're being recognized now. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It baffles me that even my mother's been following this model since the inception of the program. And we went into Bowen homes, and we went into schools and reduced the violence in the schools by 70% and raised the attendance, 40, 30, 40, 50%. But because it's not someone else's idea, see what I mean?
Yeah.
So we don't care about that. We're going to make it happen. We're going to reduce these, we're going to make these numbers work, and we're going to help the community. Now, everybody, like I said, is starting to get on board now, because like I said, we've got endorsements from the White House and the CDC. So there's money involved. So everybody want to be my friend now. You know me, back then y'all ain't know me. Now everybody all know me, you know what I mean? So,
now I'm hot.
Brush your shoulders off.
Yeah, just
pop your collar. You need to be with our
I just thought about that.
all right.
So you were going to ask or give him a little information about like what's going on in Gwinnett, what we're doing?
Yes. So we are hosting a youth forum. It is called Our Voice Matters. It's on October the 16th from 3 to 5 p.m. And we're looking to hear from all of our high school students at Shiloh High School and South Gwinnett High School, because this is going to be a student-led forum. It's a safe, judge-free space, for these young people to make known to all of us, right? The people who make the decisions on their behalf. We want to hear from these young people. They don't really get a voice. Just like what we said at the violence at Black Push. We need to have those people who it affects the most in the room.
Absolutely.
And so these young people need to be a part of the decisions that's being made for them in their schools. And so we're hosting an event. Again, it's on Sunday, October the 16th from 3 to 5 p.m. And young people who may not want to publicly, because like we said, it's peer pressure when they have to go back to their environment. Oh, you snitched or you said XYZ. We're going to have an anonymous where you can submit anonymous comments to our website, KarenandKat.com. And then that way they can just send us their comments or shoot us an email. And then that way we can just read their comments and no one will know.
We won't say any names.
We won't, because we want to protect them, because like you said, this is public health. And thank you for making that huge distinction, because it is a public health. It is a epidemic.
It really is.
Totally is.
It really is. Well, Leonard Dungee, we want to thank you for being on with Conversations with Karen and Kat.
Yes.
If you were here, we would give this to you in person. But this is our shirt. Are you a large or an extra large? Oh, this is
either or.
You don't have to say it out loud. We'll get that confidential look.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna need my shirt.
Okay. So we'll mail it to you. Is the email that's in your is the address that's in your email good? Just to mail it to? Okay, so we will mail you your shirt. And thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Yeah, this is a good
conversation.
Every episode get better and better.
Yeah. Because we're
look, if y'all need me to come to Gwinnett to do any kind of intervention, we have some contacts up there. If you need me to do anything, just call me. We can show up at the school. I just showed up 2 weeks ago to a riot they had at Washington High School. So that's what we do.
Yes, absolutely. We can talk about coming up Sunday. We would love some experts in the room on Sunday. And like we said, South Gwinnett had 20 fights in one day. So we need some positive intervention, and we can talk more about that, but we would love for you to come up to Gwinnett and do what you do.
Because we really want to hear what the kids have to say is going on. Because we as the adults, we're hearing one thing, and then the kids are saying something different. And so we want to know, what do they want to see in their schools? Right. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, they'll tell me, they won't tell y'all, but they'll tell me.
Very well.
Right. And that's exactly why. So they see you in the room, they may talk more. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or talk to you off to the side.
Yeah, that part too.
Yeah.
That part too.
Whatever we need to do to get them to feel safe and comfortable and be able to express what they need. Yeah. You know, so that's the environment we want to create for our young people. This is student led, and the adults are invited to be a part of the listening audience.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Listening,
whatever y'all need, I got you.
All right. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
A village. It takes a village.
So with that being said, thank you for joining us with this episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat.
Well, we are impacting the world one conversation at a time.